Hi there, I'm Katie Wagner. Welcome to Social Media Help Desk. This is the time every week when we get together to talk about social media and the things that we see changing with the channels and what's working or not working with social media that we've found here at the agency. So I'm here today with our junior content editor, Ivana.
Hello.
And our senior content editor, Taylor.
Hi.
And today it's all about stories, which, you know, we like because we're into storytelling.
Yeah.
That's sort of our tagline. It says it behind our of all, Instagram stories, which was the biggest copycat for Snapchat.
Yeah,
right?
it was the first one to come out with stories almost as an exact duplicate of what Snapchat was doing. At this point, it seems like everyone's trying it, but we first saw it on Instagram, and it's kind of, I would say at least for myself personally, it's the one that I probably use the most nowadays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my husband is addicted to stories now. So, but every one of his is slow pan, and then he just stories it, and I'm like, all your stories look the same. So I've stopped watching them. Don't say anything about that. But stories are really popular. People love it. And now Instagram is letting you share your stories with just a select group of friends. So you don't have to put it to everyone that's following you anymore. Now you can say, I want to share this just with my close friends, and the content's only available to them. And so if you are someone's close friend, they have to like mark you in a close friend list on Instagram. And when you're watching their stories, you'll see this little it's like a little watermark or a medallion, right? That comes up. Yeah, a badge. There you go. That comes up next to your username that shows that you are in their close friends. So if you're not in the close friends, you would also know that. Interesting. I don't know. I mean, do you? I don't use stories, so do you do stories of things you wouldn't want everyone to see?
I like the idea of this, but apparently not enough to implement it into my daily life because I haven't been using it, and I actually don't know anybody who's really, dove deep into this. I know it is still a new and fresh thing,
right?
But I've seen the option, I've read about it, Instagram has given me the option to set it up, and I haven't done it yet. But I like it in theory because there's one problem I've always had with Instagram stories versus something like Snapchat is I felt like, okay, I'm connected with all these people on Instagram. I follow bloggers, celebrities, Kim Kardashian, everyone at this point, and brands as well.
Right.
But there was just so much there that I was really only seeing what Instagram wanted me to see. And now I had all of these people that maybe I was interested in seeing their nice photography, but I don't really want to see their day-to-day life. And I felt like my real true connections were kind of lost in the jumble of it all. Where on Snapchat, at least it was very easy for me to find my friends, and there was a very clear distinction between the brand and the news sections and my personal connections. So I like the idea of this for Instagram because at least it kind of clears that up a little bit and, takes away some of the noise that's going on the channel.
Okay, wait, but I'm going to push back because I get what you're saying. Me too. That's why I like it because so the feed is sort of curated content. Yeah. I'll watch that, but I don't look at stories from brands or influencers I follow, just from friends. But won't it still show you their stuff because they haven't marked their stuff close friends? Like you're still going to be exposed to all the stuff people are putting out there. This just allows you to customize your experience of sharing.
I don't know if I really like the idea. Well, I just don't think it's going to be very useful because you already have a setting in your stories that you can block certain people from seeing your story.
You can?
So yeah, you can do that. You can hide people. You can hide certain users, any of your followers. So if there was really something that you didn't want other people to see, just your close friends, I mean, you could easily just hide certain people. So I don't really know if there's like a big use.
Yeah, but then don't you have to hide everybody except your close friends? Like it's a lot
I
of
guess.
hiding.
I mean, I don't have that many followers, but I'm not that popular.
So I understand what they're trying to do with it, and I do think as many, the entire basis of this, I do think some of the inspiration came from something like Snapchat.
Absolutely.
But I mean, only time will tell to see if we actually put this, because I mean, I'll mark my words, probably 6 weeks from now I'll probably be using this exclusively.
You will.
But for now, I mean, I think it's interesting, but I'm not taking any immediate action on it.
It seems like an extra step for now.
Definitely.
Like it does. It's a little more work.
Yeah, and when I'm posting stories, I mean, like, I want everyone to see it. That's why I'm posting it.
Yeah, it's kind of the point.
So, like, I know my close friends are already going to watch it because they always watch my stuff, so either way.
I think a good rule of thumb is if you don't want everyone to see it, don't put it on social media.
Exactly.
Right? Like, let's share those in other ways. I've certainly texted things to my friends that I wouldn't put on Instagram or other things. All right, so jury's still out on Instagram stories with your close friends, but we'll keep you posted on that. The next story we have for you today is about YouTube stories. And now YouTube has content creators, YouTube creators that are people with more than 10,000 subscribers. And those people are allowed to create stories on on YouTube. So it's a privilege just for those who have a large following right now.
For now.
And the question is, will YouTube roll this out to everybody? Can any YouTube user start to create stories? I believe yes, they will.
Yeah. I believe, essentially it's probably to test. And I actually understand this edition more than I have in some of the other channels that have taken on stories, and it seems like it has popped up everywhere, and some of it doesn't make as much sense. I understand this because the idea behind a YouTube channel is that you're telling the story of your life. There are people who've gotten so famous, millions of followers from just posting their daily vlogs.
Right.
But in order to do that, it's a lot of work. You have to edit the video, post the video. There's a lot of post-production involved, especially with the quality. And so you have to wait for your favorite creator to post a new video. And I think that those creators were going to the other channels to do the easier, simple stuff. They were probably making just as much money on Instagram now
with the
sharing,
spur of the moment.
Yeah, spur of the moment stuff. And I think YouTube was really feeling that and seeing we're losing out on a lot of money here because the brand creators that we've built up on our platform are now going somewhere else to share the easy stuff.
So you think that they felt that people thought they had to do pre-produced videos that look good, and you do to a certain extent
to be successful, essentially.
Yeah, but this gives you a more authentic, spur of the moment way to just share stuff as it happens, real time.
So I mean, I don't really use YouTube that much, but I know at least for like Instagram stories, you can reply, or you can also sometimes send certain stories to other people if their profile's public. Can you do that with the YouTube? Or like,
I think that's like something that down the road they will probably expand. Right now, it seems that it's very surface level, like the very beginning of Instagram. Just putting things out, some quick things. Even if it's, I think a lot of the purpose is, hey, I'm going to be uploading a video in 24 hours. Like, stick around, come back, because people, a lot of the way that people consume YouTube is they go on, they have their subscriptions, and they have everyone who they follow. And if there's no new video up, a lot of people like you, Ivana, you said you don't use it very often. I bet you everybody doesn't check it as often as they check Instagram. Exactly. So if there's no video up, okay, bye, I'll check back in a couple days, and you may miss out, especially with the algorithm, miss out on some content that's posted there. So the idea is that now creators can be like, hey, stick around or come back this afternoon, I'm going to be posting a new video.
Or do like behind the scenes content about making the new video. We don't know exactly how that works yet because we don't have 10,000 followers.
Right. Yeah.
They don't let us use it yet.
But I think that's good also because, when you're like a lot of the YouTube vloggers, everything's so edited in their videos. You can see like their raw, videos of themselves, just like really authentic. So I think that's good too.
Yeah. I think, stories is about, across all platforms, about real-time sharing, right? And it's taking the production out of social media and making it more authentic and grittier and
a little more personal.
Yeah.
I was talking with a client earlier today about how we wanted to maybe tidy up their feed a little bit and make that their Instagram feed a little bit more professional with some more highly produced things, but still save that organic, pull out your phone and snap a picture or snap a video content that they like to do every day, but put that on the stories because that's what people are expecting to see when they're clicking through the stories.
Right.
And let's make the more strategic post live on the feed.
Yeah, and I think that's really important because you see throughout all the channels that everything's just so edited and like just to the T perfect, so it's kind of like a relief to see something real.
I think there's a different lifespan of that content too, right? The strategic content or the edited content has a much longer lifespan on your feed, whereas a story is transient, right? It comes, it goes, you have 24 hours to watch it.
It's only relevant in that moment, typically.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I don't care 3 days later.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right? Okay, so our last story about stories is Facebook. And Facebook has, a few months ago now, rolled out stories in the news feed, sort of taking a cue from Instagram and letting you use it that way. Now they're rolling it out into Facebook groups. So if you're in Facebook groups, which we're big fans of, members of the group can create stories and post it inside the group. But these stories have to be approved by the group administrator before they can go live. So there is still that firewall, that gatekeeping that happens. And Facebook's saying they think it's a good way for group members to sort of introduce themselves to each other and, get to know each other better. I'll read you the quote from Facebook. It says, with group stories on Facebook, you can see, feel, and experience different points of view and connect more personally with other members in your group. So I think they're really pushing groups these days, and goodness knows the algorithm is driving us into groups. And so they really want that to be a personal experience where people are connecting, which I think is a good thing.
I think that this would be good for smaller groups because I'm a part of a lot of Facebook groups that have like thousands of people. So I'm wondering like how the admins would be like, how hesitant they would be to be posting a lot of random member stories. But I think for smaller groups like our own KWSM group, that would be perfect. It's fun. So.
Yeah,
we
that's
should
a good
do that.
point.
Yeah.
That's actually a very good point because I'm thinking even about like the big city groups. If you can
was just gonna
use
say
their
that.
community groups. There already is so much management that goes into being an admin of those groups. This is kind of now an extra space. But on the flip side, I am pretty high on this idea because I also like the idea. I mean, the whole point of being in a group is it's almost like being in a club, or like I'm in some groups that are reading groups and we all read the same book at the same time, and it's to get to know each other.
Sure.
And so I understand this for the purpose of that, because otherwise there's only so much of your personality you can get across in text.
Well, for instance, I'm in a group that I love called the Marketing and Communication Women of Atlanta. Shout out to that group. Because we have an office in Atlanta and I spend half my time there. And so this group is people that all essentially do the same thing, but we network with each other. And I think stories would be really helpful there to let people get to know us. And it's the equivalent of a coffee when we can't have coffee with all the hundreds of people in the group necessarily. But we do use it to pass a lot of business, to make referrals to each other. I just asked for a recommendation there last night and got lots of recommendations. But maybe if I knew those people, felt like I knew them a little more personally, that might hold more water. So I do think that's good, but I'm not going in the Residents of Aliso Viejo group and being like, here's a story about me.
Yeah, vlogging your time, and you're at the grocery store. I mean, I don't know if anybody necessarily needs that.
No. If you do, please leave a comment, and Taylor will do it for you. But yeah, I think there are groups you could use it in, and groups maybe not.
Really depends.
But I can you made the comment, our KWSM group, we have a team group here. I can see this blowing up with stories already.
Yeah, people would definitely be using that.
Just remember that we can see when you're not working if you're posting stories. All right, well, good. So lots of news about stories. Let us know in the comments or send us an email and tell us how you're using stories, because they're available on pretty much every channel now, and I think they're increasing in popularity, or else everybody wouldn't be rolling them out, right? People like them. So tell us what you're doing with them. And if you're a brand, tell us what you're doing to promote your company with them. Because I think, we're sort of talking about stories personally, but there's a lot you can do for marketing that way, to do your business. For me, I think of it as a behind the scenes look at the business, right? Sometimes even when we do pre-produced video shoots for clients, we might do stories behind the scenes, like here's on set, here's what's happening. Yeah,
or the content that maybe isn't as highly produced for an advertisement, but it's still good quality content to get your brand personality out there.
Absolutely. All right, good. Well, another thing that happens online a lot besides stories is reviews. And review and testimonial sites, feedback from the consumer sites are getting really popular. They've always been popular with things like Yelp, but these days there are a lot more. Things like Google reviews are becoming more, and even TripAdvisor and that sort of thing. So your company, depending on what you do for a living, may be amassing a lot of these things. How do you use them to your advantage? And Ivana, I know this is something you've been thinking about lately.
Yeah.
Walk us through what somebody should be thinking about when they're starting to get reviews, or maybe they have a protocol in place to get them. What can I do with that content?
I think there's a lot of things that people have a lot of missed opportunities when it comes to reviews. There's so many ways that you can utilize them, good and bad. Reviews to really build up your credibility. People really rely on reviews, the opinions of others, to kind of figure out if this company is legit, if it's good. Like I know that I always look at reviews with restaurants or certain types of services. I'm always looking at reviews on Yelp and things like that. And really the most important is it's building your reputation. When you have good reviews, obviously there's great comments and things like that, but it's also the bad reviews. You commenting back and making sure your brand is being responsive to those reviews is really important. And I think seeing that on a consumer level is really good, because you're showing that your brand cares about your customers and you're not just ignoring the bad reviews just because they're bad.
Yeah, there's something about that where I'm even hesitant to go to a new place or try a new service if there aren't any reviews at all. Because even if there are a couple that aren't as great and there's some that are glowing reviews, that makes me feel a lot more comfortable about spending my money and my business there, especially if I'm seeing the response from the company's standpoint and their explanation of it, and if that was resolved. Where if there's nothing there, then that concerns me.
Well, I think number one, it's just good customer service to respond, right? You should probably respond to the good reviews as well. To acknowledge that somebody said something. But I think, most companies get really upset if there's a negative review and it's a big deal. But it's really an opportunity to learn about something you may not have done well that you could improve.
And bad reviews are honestly, sometimes they can be inevitable. Like people have bad experiences, and that doesn't mean that your brand is bad. But, you responding to that shows that, we're not perfect, but we do care.
One of my favorite things to see is when someone leaves maybe a negative review explaining the service or whatever the issue was, and then someone else comments and says, oh, well, I came here 6 months later and I didn't have that issue, or I didn't run into that issue, because then that makes me as a consumer feel like maybe the issue was either addressed or was it kind of a one-off.
Right.
Well, I think there's something really powerful about your brand fans banding behind you, defending you, right? We see that a lot with our clients. Somebody will say, oh, this product stinks, and everyone else will go, no, it doesn't, right? Which is great to see, and you want that kind of brand loyalty. But I always say that when you're responding to a negative review, it's about that person, yes, but it's also about all the other people that are going to see the review.
Exactly.
Nobody thinks you can make somebody happy 100% of the time, right? You can't make every customer happy all of the time. Most people in business know that. But what you can do is treat an unhappy customer with respect, listen to their opinions, try to make it right, and go the extra mile to try to improve that relationship or fix that problem. And I think seeing a business do that goes a long way into telling you who they really are and how they handle things.
And sometimes also when you respond to an unhappy customer review, a lot of times they'll change it or they'll take it back. So I mean, you just showing that you're putting that little extra step to show that you care about their experience really says a lot, because sometimes they'll be like, okay, actually, they were right or whatever, and take it off. So.
Okay, good. So what do reviews do for us? What's important to remember about them?
Well, as far as social media, they're really good content. I think that, in order to gain customers, the best way is word of mouth, people really trust the opinions of others who have used your product or your service or something like that. So, using good reviews on your Facebook or even on your website is really beneficial, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think number one, it builds your reputation, right? Like you were saying that you don't go to places that don't have any reviews, right? Because you don't really know. I'd rather see a couple good than a couple bad. That's who you are. Because it's more authentic. It feels like, okay, this is a true picture.
Yeah, and I can get a bigger idea of what their service is like, what it offers. I see pictures of people's experience, where when there's nothing, then it just seems like there's too much of a mystery there. And I don't know, it kind of makes me feel uncomfortable going to a new place.
Yeah, and even I think it's really good using the pictures that reviewers will post. Are great content. User-generated content is going to be the best content that you can post out there, because it's exactly your customer's experience.
So it gives people, it's that social proof, right? Like you can say you're great all day long, but if other people say it, that's much more powerful. And I think too, having an active place where you're taking customer feedback and responding, like we're saying, and growing that community strengthens the bonds with the people that are using your product and service, right? Those are your loyal advocates, and you should really have a relationship with them.
Yeah, those are the ones who are going to jump in and say, wait, no, this product isn't terrible.
Right.
I've been using it for 15 years and it's changed my life.
Yeah, I like those people. We got to get more of those. But that's a point for respond to even the good reviews, right? Like talk to people, say thank you. Ask questions. Maybe we worked with a brand a couple of years ago that when people left good reviews, they would secretly send them a little gift, like glad you like our product. Here's a little something extra, and it was just a little sample size. It wasn't a full product or anything, but I thought that was a really nice way of saying you did something for us unsolicited, and we're going to reward you for it.
And it's not like that brand or that company is saying, hey, here's a little something, like, hey, post about this or put this on your social media.
I don't like
it's
it
never
beforehand.
like that.
Yeah,
but the person who on the receiving end is probably going to be more inclined to post about it or talk about it just out of the kindness of their heart, because they're so happy with the experience that they've had there.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about this. I use a certain supplement for my dogs. It's a probiotic, and the dogs take the probiotic every day. And I got an email from the company that said, you leave us a review on any channel of your choice and we'll send you 15% off. So I left a review. And I'm really happy with this product. We've used it for years. But even if I wasn't, I think I might have left a review. I mean, I guess I wouldn't care about 15% off if I didn't like it.
The value of the offer is there because you like the product and you're willing to review it. I think that's probably the logic behind that campaign.
And I wanted to buy more, so I needed to buy.
If this person wasn't interested in 15% off or repurchasing, then they're probably not going to want to leave a happy review anyways.
Yeah, and that's actually, your story's funny because I had the same exact experience. I was using something for my dog as well, and they emailed me, and I had gotten it maybe a week prior to the email. And they said, if you leave a review, then we'll send you a whole full-size product, like a free one. So I was like, okay, obviously, but I didn't, it had only been a week, so I didn't really know if it was like working on my dog yet, but I still left one and I got a free one. And it has been working. I'm very happy with it, but yeah, I mean, it was just that incentive.
Later. See if it's the same company.
Yes, okay, yeah.
Okay, so that's one way that this company is encouraging reviews. It worked on the two of us.
Yeah.
What other ways could people encourage reviews about products or services? How do you get those?
I think giveaways or like holding some sort of contest, like the chance to win. It kind of is, goes back to that same thing, but even something that can be even more exciting. Sometimes I see, if you leave a review about, a clothing item, then you're entered for a chance to win a gift certificate to buy more items from that company. And it's just a chance, but at the same time, they're offering this prize that I find valuable. Yeah. I'm more likely to enter because, like I said, I want to spend more money with this company because I like this company. So I might as well put a review. That's
so
a
simple,
pretty
common one.
Incentivizing
people. Yeah.
I also think it depends on your company. So if you're selling products, it's easy to do the giveaway thing. But if you're if you have services, like say like if you're a wedding planner, you're spending almost a year with your customer, it's really easy just to ask. You've built a relationship with them, and they will do it. I feel like a lot of people are nervous to ask, but it's actually, they won't. I feel like most people wouldn't mind if they had a good experience with you. They're going to want to give you a good review.
I think that's actually the most underrated thing, right? People think they have to do all this hoopla and have a sexy contest or giveaway, and sometimes it really does take just making
asking.
a communication. We represent some trial lawyers, a firm of trial lawyers, and when they win a case, they text us from the courthouse and say, we won, we got this great verdict for this client. And then we reach out to the client on their behalf and say, will you please leave a review for this attorney and say, how well we performed for you. And people do it. Yes, I'm happy to. They just, got me out of jail or whatever it was.
It's a great experience, and you're more than happy because, like Ivana said, you've just built this relationship and hopefully gotten great results from whatever service you were provided that you would like to share that with everyone.
Well, and I think the time to ask is then.
Yes,
right. It's not a year later when you're like, oh, we got to get some Google reviews. What should we do? Right. It's when there's that moment where the customer or the client is happy with you.
Yeah.
And most people are happy to tell you what they think. And when I'm asking either for myself or on behalf of a client, I say, can you share your feedback? Like I never say, will you leave us a good review?
Right.
Or, can you tell people what it's like to work with us? I never say the good things, right?
Yeah. I think another good suggestion is when they already are sharing that good feedback with you.
Yes.
They're sending you a thank you note. They sent you an email that says, thank you so much. I had such a great experience. They've already written all of that up and typed it up. It's so easy to say, hey, thank you so much for these kind reviews. I'd love to share it with the rest of my team. I'd love to share it with whomever. Would you mind posting this on my Facebook page? Of course.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing is when we get notes, emails, we'll send it back. Not send it back, respond to it and say, this meant the world to us. Could you post it somewhere? Right? And it's the same words they've used, but somehow it's less intimidating for somebody to not have to come up with something new to write. Like we've already said thank you to you.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good one. All right, so maybe 2019 is the year of reviews, right? We're going to get more and use them places. All right, let's talk a little bit about, it's the end of the year. It's a busy time on social media, lots of sales for e-commerce and that sort of thing, but it's also a time when a lot of people are time crunched. They've got a lot going on. They don't have a lot of time to think about content.
Yes.
How can we make our content go further or get the most bang for our buck out of our content?
Yeah, and I think, like you said, this is the perfect time of year to be talking about it because I think it can be very daunting to people when they have so many other things going on. The last thing they want to do is, continue putting out a blog every week, or I don't have time to come up with new ideas. And so instead of doing what we're about to talk about, they just say, I'm just not going to do anything at all. Like I don't have time for this. Take a break, and then you're losing a lot of that hard work that you've really put a lot of effort into for the rest of 2018. So instead, what I'm proposing is to take a look at what you've done and make something else out of it.
Yeah, try to recreate it a little bit. Because, if you're blogging weekly and you've been really good at it and then you take a break for 3 weeks because you got really busy, that's going to hurt your SEO. It's going to hurt the traffic to your website. And you're sort of shooting yourself in the foot. So rather than do that, we want you to plan ahead, come up with some of these strategies to get more mileage out of the content you may have already created to get you through the times when things are crazy and you just don't have a lot of time to put effort into creating new content.
Yeah, and since it is such a busy time, I have a couple ideas that can make this really simple and that you can kind of just use what you already have right now. So the first thing is to kind of take the the ideas and the blogs that you've already written and restructure them, and I like to call it like a spin-off, and restructure it in a different way. So a lot of people think my blog post has to be 500 words, paragraph, 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 conclusion. And while that's a great thing, there's lots of keywords in there, and it's, you know, it's been great to do all year long. But maybe if you're in a little bit of time crunch, you can take some of those pieces and rework them in you know, some fun ways. So a couple ideas would be to take your idea and put it into an infographic. There are a lot of tools online that can generate infographics for you, and you already have all the ideas and all the stats there, and make it a visual blog. And post that onto your website. Another idea would be to talk about it and discuss it either in a podcast or finding a podcast that you'd like to share, and share that onto your site. This way you're creating partnerships with the people who maybe created the podcast, and you know, you already know what you want to talk about, but you can now share that same idea from another person's point of view onto your site. You still stand behind the ideas and the beliefs, but you know, instead of writing it up yourself, you're just, you know, repurposing and giving credit to the, you know, the other person and sharing that onto your site.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah. So those are a couple ideas of how you can kind of take that and put a little bit of a spin on it. I think you can also take a look at some of your blogs that you've written throughout the year, some of the content that you've written, and look at what's going to stay true into the next year, or it's going to stay true for a long time. So we like to call this an evergreen content.
Right.
So this is content that's always going to be applicable to any time or for the, you know, foreseeable future. But let's update it a little bit and make it more relevant to what's going on now. So we do like to blog about things that are happening now, trending and current topics, but I think you can use the content that you've already written as the basis for that, and then add in some new ideas. So whether it's new graphics, new statistics, update the data. So if you use some statistics in an older blog post, maybe you can re-release that blog post with 2019 statistics.
Sure.
So just updating it to make it a little fresher, or some current events. If you've, you know, written a blog about your particular industry, and then, you know, a case comes out, or a case study, or something really big in your industry, I think you can update some of your previous content to now reflect this new information that's come out.
I like that. I also think sometimes we write a blog that says, you know, 3 tips for so-and-so, and there's, you know, tips. Couldn't you take those and make each one of those a new blog? Just flesh out that tip a little bit. Like now you got 3 separate blogs, but the ideas are all still there. You just got to write a little more about it.
Yeah, you're just essentially expanding on some of the ideas that you've already have.
I think even like, especially since it's towards the end of the year, you can kind of get a couple of your blogs and do like a recap of 2018. You know, if you have like kind of like what we do, like company culture, we could do like a recap of all of our KWSM events in 2018.
Yeah, like a year in review.
Yeah, or even a year in review of some of the great things that your company has accomplished, some of the cases you've closed, or the sales you've made, or the contracts you've signed.
Milestones, people have joined the team.
So that's already happened, and it's going to be very easy to summarize and take some of your older photos and then put them out for just a reminder to everyone about the great things that happened.
And I think another way to utilize these blogs, if you're kind of running out of ideas for content towards the end of the year, just pull tidbits from the blog to use as your content.
Yeah, and kind of going off that, this one's my favorite one, is because you can take one idea that you have, so you don't have to come up with any more ideas, and really expand that and to make it a series. So a lot of some of the topics that your company might be writing about are pretty dense, and there's a lot of things that can go into it. And so instead of trying to summarize that into one blog, expanding that out and making it a multiple part series, because for one, you'll get people to keep coming back for more because they know that this is only part 1. Next week and the week after is probably going to be parts 2 and 3. And also you're giving yourself the ability to link to all your different blogs. So if someone does find this later down the road and they read part 1, they can now click to part 2 and part 3 and continue on your site, and that makes that content really powerful.
Yeah. I also think, you know, sometimes people do things like this, Facebook Live, or they do a podcast, or they're making a video series. Look to that content to see what you can get out of it too. So, because all the things we've talked about here today, you could take any of these ideas, watch the video, write a little stuff for your blog, and then you've got new content that goes out, because I think sharing content in different formats is really effective.
Yeah, and the message can be told in such different ways versus visually, and then written, and then like in video format.
Sure. And it's not overkill, because people like to consume content in different ways. And your audience on YouTube may be completely different than the people reading your blog, and so putting it in both places can be really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, good tips.
Thanks.
All right, well, I hope you've learned something today. If nothing else, we'll see you on Instagram stories. And if you need tips and advice before we come back on to do this show, you can email us. Our email is tips@kwsmdigital.com. You can also read our blog. That's on our website, kwsmdigital.com. We blog every single day, so you get lots of information there. And then also we have a YouTube channel. It's under KWSM Team. It has all the past episodes of this show and also our Tip of the Day videos. So lots of content out there for you to consume. In the meantime, we will be back here next Tuesday at 12:30 Pacific time, 3:30 Eastern time, just like always, and we will see you then. Have a good week.